I've heard a lot of people say Nigerians are amongst the happiest people in the world, and I tend to agree. Despite difficult times, Nigerians will sure wade through. Nigerians are making impact in various fields of endeavor, in the sciences, in the arts, in entertainment, in engineering, and even biotechnology. In this edition of the program, Biotechnology in Focus, we will explore the genetic engineering process, and indeed, if GMOs are safe for consumption. I am Ifeanyi Okafor, and already I am eager to get started.
Is it still going to maintain its natural taste, as in the products as a result of biotechnology? I'm asking if the products will still maintain their natural taste.
To me, I believe it's okay when proper measurement is used for it to generate the output.
I understand that it will increase yield of farm produce, as in applying biotechnology, but is there no chemical involved? Is there no chemical? Is it not going to affect human system? Because I prefer natural things are better. You know, so natural food is always better for our health.
It depends on the kind of technology that is going to be applied. We have what is called this GMO, this genetic modified product. So if this body has a regulatory body that regulates the kind of chemicals that are being used, because it's not all chemicals that are actually harmful. There are some chemicals that are human compliance. So it depends on what is going to be used for the modification. It's not a bad thing. It's done everywhere.
Now, those are the views and fears when the issue of GMOs are brought up for public discourse. But we intend to get you sufficiently educated on this matter. Watch.
Did you know that genetically modified organisms, GMOs, are safe and do not pose any risk, hazard, or danger to human, animal, and the environment? Neither do they cause cancer, infertility, sterility, tumor, or any adversity. There is safe use of GMO drugs like insulin, vaccine, rapid diagnostic test kits for malaria, HIV, hepatitis, and so on. The safety of GMOs is certified by the World Health Organization, WHO, Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, the National Academies of Science globally, the Royal Society, UK, and over 110 prize Nobel laureates. GMOs are safe, effective, and certified by MBMA in Nigeria.
This message is brought to you by the Nigeria chapter of the Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology, OFAB, supported by the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA.
Okay then, I sure hope you have sufficiently learned a lot. However, this next feature may be just the tonic to enlighten you more.
Food is essential to humanity. And all over the world, countries place emphasis on food production. Food security is a crucial factor for life, for existence of man, and for development.
There is need for us to use biotechnology if we want to, fight hunger. Because even with COP, by 1991, Nigerian population was just 86 million. And by 2014, Nigerian population was about 180. You can see the double. So how do you now really feed everybody with the kind of thing that we have been doing, or our grandparents have been doing? You must develop a means of not only doubling but tripling your output. Because after all this population that we have, Nigerians area is about 91 million hectares, and which about 40% is arable or have been developed. Okay? So looking at that, and looking at also the challenge of developing more land, especially nowadays with the issue of insecurity, people are even afraid to go to farms.
Nigeria, like many other nations, face environmental challenges such as erosion, desertification, climate change, drought, and other factors which debase soil fertility or inhibit crop cultivation.
There is no solution to environmental problems more than biotechnology, because in the first instance, pests are problems to crop, and conventionally pests are controlled using insecticides. And we know that the use of insecticides, particularly in this country where knowledge is limited, has caused more problems than the solution. Because you see cases where insecticides are overused, misused, and when you go to our chemical stores or outlets, you see fake and expired insecticides being sold to farmers. And as a necessity, because these pests have to be eliminated, farmers use them. And where do these chemicals end to? They end in the soils and in our waters, in our drinking waters. That is harmful to the environment. Biotechnology is intervening in this area by breeding crops that are either resistant or tolerant to these insects. That, in a way, is solving that problem.
The outbreak of diseases which affect and destroy crops, pests, and human activity have in no small measure undermined productivity and yield of farmers. In the light of a predicted population explosion and food crisis in Africa, most countries in the continent are keen into new technologies that will effectively address food shortages.
We don't have a crop, but we develop capacity for those countries that have committed themselves to the use of biotechnology for agricultural innovation, poverty alleviation, and environmental integrity. So we do this all over the country. We're in Jalingo, we are here now, we're going to Ife next week. Why do we do these things in universities? Because the heads that carry eggs, or the eggheads, they are here. And we want to hear more of them.
So long as we want this technology to be adopted by farmers and we want to enhance the uptake, the technology has been proven useful in all the developed countries. We have US, Brazil, Argentina, Canada, there are so many. And if you follow the trend, all these countries are well-advanced countries. They have food security, they can feed, they can even, give food aid to other countries. So if this technology at least is a bad one, I don't think it will be that helpful and beneficial, empowering farmers, making farmers to be able to take their children to school and work, increasing yields.
Crops that are genetically modified are touted as one of the ways of tackling impending food crisis, and Nigeria is taking the bull by the horn as it seeks to embrace agricultural biotechnology to enhance farming, food production, and growth of the economy.
The technology has enabled me to do things that I would not have been able to do. No plant breeder would have developed a Maruca-resistant cowpea material as I did today without using this technology. So definitely the technology has opened another opportunity for extending the horizons of my scientific capacity. This cowpea will certainly go to everywhere in the country where the where cowpea is grown. Why we included farmers in the evaluation is to fulfill the requirements for the National Variety Release Committee, so that they want to hear or see evidence that farmers have also evaluated this technology and they have concurred with the scientists in terms of its potential benefit before they register it for commercial release.
Concerns are constantly being raised on the safety of the genetically engineered crops. The National Biosafety Management Agency controls and regulates the use of biotechnology application in agriculture. The agency is basing its recommendations on empirical evidence and facts, and the National Biosafety Management Agency vows to ensure that biotechnology application is not imposed and that farmers rather have adequate knowledge on the new technology. Ultimately, the goal is that Nigeria remains relevant in this modern science and takes advantage of the potentials of biotechnology for agricultural growth and to reduce environmental degradation and damage of the ecosystem through the use of pesticides.
Some people believe eating food made from genetically modified organisms are unsafe. The debate over the safety or dangers on GMOs have formed subjects for discussions, seminars, and conferences of all sorts. People's perception on GMOs are often negative, but scientists say GMOs are safe, they have no adverse environmental impact, and they help reduce the use of pesticides. Scientists say there are no clear evidence that genetically improved foods, which according to them we have been eating since 1990s, are harmful. Our guest on the program will enlighten us on this and other issues on GMOs, but first, we'll take a break.
Madam, put that big one for
this
me.
One? Customer.
Hey, customer. You must have done the say all these big oranges right here in a GMO.
Show the GMOs again.
Now, wow, my sister. Who tell you say GMO did this country?
You read it everywhere for sound. Say all these big oranges, cassava and yam there. Then a GMO where Oyibo people bring to kill us.
Ah, my sister. All this big orange, yam, cassava where you see, not be GMO, na hybrid. You never hear WHO talk say GMO not be bad thing. Even our own government agency, NDMA, talk say them they on top the matter for Niger. GMO never dey Niger market oh, and all those people where they tell you say GMO no good, themselves they eat them when they travel go Obodo Yibo. Me self they pray, say make them bring and enter with Niger market, make we self follow enjoy. GMO, if it grow, whether rain fall or it no fall, it go kill pests and it no go affect your crop. In fact, it no carry disease for body. It get the vitamin where you need for body where them fit to put inside. You know, say me I like a better thing. But it not fit there inside river, so for the enter in eye.
This GMO good oh.
It's good well oh. Eh?
This program now from the Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology, OFAB in Africa, Nigeria chapter, supported by the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA, Abuja.
Good to have you back on the program, Biotechnology in Focus, and joining me in the studio very shortly is a biosafety expert. He will share his in-depth knowledge on the topic, are GMOs safe for consumption? Now here with me in the studio is Dr. Matthew Doe. He is a biosafety expert and a retired Director of Federal Ministry of Environment, Biosafety. You're welcome to the program, Biotechnology in Focus.
Thank you very much.
Now, very quickly, what are genetically modified organisms? Can you shed more light on this?
Genetically modified organisms are those plants,
animals or microorganisms that have been altered genetically to serve a specific purpose using parts of existing living organisms or their own genetic makeup.
Now, global anxiety exists about the safety of consuming genetically modified organisms. Why is this so?
In some quarters, there's some anxiety. Any new technology usually comes with some level of anxiety. But in the case of GMOs, this anxiety has been properly addressed.
Okay, now what risks would anyone, for that matter, encounter in consuming GMOs?
Now, when you create a GMO, the first thing that is done is to compare that new organism or the genetically modified organism with its traditional counterpart. You do something that is called, in principle, substantial equivalence. Does it look like what it was before the modification? And when you look at the chemistry of this plant, has anything altered? Are there any new things that have been generated because of this transformation? Now, the next step is to, if you confirm that it isn't a new thing, there's nothing new there, that they are substantially equivalent, you then test for toxicity. If you consume this organism, will it be poisonous? There are standard toxicity tests done by toxicologists. The second one is allergenicity. Will anybody become allergenic because of consuming this new commodity, this GMO? If these are found to be negative, then it goes on to the next step.
Now, you've mentioned some certain things that are quite vital, but you know there are concerns of combining the gene or the DNA of a foreign plant with a crop. People are concerned and worried that will that not have adverse effects on the consumers?
It comes back to the same three basic principles of substantial equivalence. If the gene you have introduced is going to express itself to the level that people should be concerned, then they will not be substantially equivalent. Then if it is toxicity, that will be expressed and the toxicity will be addressed. If it is going to cause allergenicity, these are three basic things in food. So if it is not toxic, if nobody has any allergenic reaction to it, then you're going to go on. And let me say, the process of bringing GMOs to the table is a very long and serious endeavor. It takes between 5 and 10 years. It's a process of testing and retesting and ensuring that no injury is going to be caused to any consumer.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, for how long does it take, the trials take, before you know for certain that these products are actually safe for consumption? And you said 10 years?
It's not necessarily 10 years. If it is necessary, it will go more than 10 years. But it's a very long and laborious process. And it is not one person that is doing all this. The geneticist does the alteration in the laboratory. After that, there's going to be food and feed tests. You're going to feed the item to rats, laboratory rats, and all other standard procedures before
small mammals,
even human beings, like other foods and medicines. You're going to pass through.
That must be in compliance with the safety regulations.
There's no
food production system that is as regulated as GMOs. And let me tell you, when in doubt, go to the authorities. This world is constructed around platforms. So where do you start? You go to the United Nations. There's a Food and Agri Organization. What does the Food and Agri Organization say about GMOs? They say you can use it. It's not a silver bullet, but you can use it among other technologies. Next, you are concerned about health. You go to the World Health Organization. If you Google World Health Organization and you ask the question, safety of GMOs, the World Health Organization says there is no empirical evidence that consumption of GMOs has any adverse effect on human beings. So I will take my guiding light from the Food and Agri Organization and the World Health Organization.
Okay, Dr. Matthew. There's this issue now. Do GMOs violate mainstream religious conventions?
The answer to that is no. Just yesterday, the National Biosafety Management Agency, a Nigerian government outfit, held its third annual conference. There, the Deputy Secretary, Supreme Council on Islamic Affairs, was represented, and he quoted a passage to support his view. I think a bishop from the Christian Association of Nigeria was also represented. We have studied these things, we have consulted. I have a Jewish friend who is a lawyer, and he says in Judaism, there is nothing that says Jews cannot consume genetically modified organisms. Nobody is playing God. You are using things that God has created on earth to manipulate the same systems.
Now, someone gave an experiment or an example of a human being who needs blood transfusion, and somebody else donates the blood and you use that. Can you describe that as the same kind of genetic engineering process?
No. All I will tell you, talking about blood, is this. There's a common disease called diabetes. It used to be that you had to resort to animals, maybe pigs in particular, to get the insulin to treat people who suffer from diabetes.
That was in the past.
A few years back. Today, insulin is produced as a GMO using a type of bacterium produced in the lab. People don't quarrel about using medicine to save your life, but they want to use the luxury of abundance to begin to pick and choose which technology that they will use to produce their food and put it to their mouth. It is the same technology. Follow the technology.
Okay, finally, Dr. Matthew Doe, I want you to assure Nigerians that Africa is actually not a dumping ground or a place where you use as the guinea pigs to experiment on biotechnology brought in from the United States of America.
It's not about United States. Now, Europe imports about $80 billion of GM products annually, especially to feed its livestock industry. Spain, Portugal, they grow genetically modified corn. I've seen it in southern Spain. There are rules and regulations, laws in every country that addresses these concerns of dumping. Trust the government agency that has been saddled with this. Nigeria has scientists who are competent both at home and in diaspora. that are versatile in this technology, and they are on top of it. This new agency I just talked about, they have an agreement with other regulatory agencies. It's not a question of just throwing things. Before any food item comes into this country, there's NAFDAC. NAFDAC is cooperating with the National Biosafety Management Agency to even grow the seed. There's a seed council that is also collaborating, developing a memorandum of understanding with NBMA. There's a varietal release committee that before anything comes into Nigerian agricultural system, all these government regulatory systems will be put in place to check. You don't just throw seeds into the country. You don't just bring food. So to avoid confusion, these government agencies have developed memoranda of understanding, even with the custom. So the issue of dumping is not going to be there. And the NBMA is well staffed. They have people who have been trained in different aspects of biosafety in different countries of the world. Norway, Italy, the United States of America, Wales, Australia. The expertise is there. They have equipment to do all this. And the civil servants didn't create GMOs. Government, in its wisdom, decided, knowing that the land we live on is finite, we are not going to be able to extend our agriculture to every place. Government decided to adopt biotechnology. The same government decided that if we are going to use biotechnology, there must be check and balance. So another agency checks the body that promotes the use of biotechnology.
Thank you so much. I must thank you, Dr. Matthew Doe. I must thank you very much. Nigerians should rest assured that we are within safe practices.
Correct.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being on the program.
Thank you.
Now, it's a wrap on this edition of Biotechnology in Focus, and I thank you for your attention and, as usual, your loyalty. Do keep a date with us next time.